Say, I'm Luigi La Tona, the executive director of self-storage. And I'll come and be like, no, you're not. Yeah, and then I'll introduce you. And then you'll say, then I'll sit down.
You jump in there.
All right. Is this mic live? Okay. Go, Luigi.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Luigi La Tona. I'm the executive director of the Self-Storage Association Asia.
What the heck? No, you aren't. Dude, you used to be the executive director of the Self-Storage Association Asia.
Oh, sorry.
The founding executive director. Ladies and gentlemen, the former executive director of the Self-Storage Association Asia. Now, the CEO of StorHub Singapore, it's Luigi La Tona. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Andrew and I like our bits.
Thanks, guys. We're just messing with you guys a little bit. I know all of you know and love Luigi La Tona, and we wanted to have a little bit of a different discussion today, yeah?
Yep.
Yep. We gave this one a slightly provocative title, the moral case for self-storage. People in our industry get things done. They are focused on making plans and then executing on those plans. You are very good at that. That is why you are in this room today. You are the people who are good at what you do in this industry. But I think people don't perhaps take a moment to stop and think about why. Why self-storage? The moral case for self-storage.
Yeah, I think one of the best things I heard this morning was from, I heard a lot of good things from a lot of good people, was from Helen, though.
The chair?
Yeah, the chair.
The chair,
because
Helen?
She said, we were there. And if you have to talk about how self-storage serves a community, we are there constantly. And I don't know if any of us in the room actually understand all the people that we really help when they need it, right?
Yeah, and maybe more and more as we move to, we're talking a lot about use of technology, contactless solutions, people being able to sign up online. There's a risk that we could lose touch with that. I mean, smaller operators know because they talk to their customers all the time. But as
losing touch with people who need help?
Exactly.
How? I mean, if you're adding technology, those people that need help at any given time on a random Sunday morning at 6 a.m., they can immediately get help in terms of finding space and in terms of where at the times they need it the most. And what are those 4 Ds?
So, yeah, the 4 Ds, and everybody, I think most people in the room, I know some people are new, and that's why they're coming here to learn, but we talk about the 4 Ds of self-storage.
Can we ask folks?
Yeah, let's ask them. Somebody give me a D.
Does anybody know the 4 Ds?
Death. Right.
Death, okay.
There.
Divorce?
Divorce. Downsizing. Thank you, Denise.
Well, incidentally, that's a 5th D, but we'll go.
Oh, I have that on my list of 4. You got a 5th one.
Well,
you got
that's
a 5th one.
D, I
another D?
2 more.
Dislocation. Thank you.
And there's another one, density. Right? Those are the 4 Ds that initially came out of one of the CBRE reports back in 2015, and it's been talked about in our industry for a long time, right? And these are very down topics.
But they're not presented like that in our industry. It's like, 4 Ds, this is how you're going to make money.
Well, no, but
it's not.
In these moments, these trials and tribulations of life as you're going through, these are the moments that self-storage is serving people best, right? It's these moments of transition. It's these moments of trouble. And you could put to those 5 Ds with one big D. And what's that big D? It's distress. Right? So all of a sudden, self-storage is there to fill those holes, to fill those gaps, to fill those times of need for people. So you want to talk about the moral case for self-storage. In those 5 Ds alone, that's it.
Yeah, and I guess I get that a lot because once people learned that I had this role, just in the community that I have in Hong Kong, people would call me up and they'd be like, Andrew, I have a problem. It's, this is really horrible. I'm like, oh. And then, it would be death. Not very often divorce in my case, not my age range maybe, but yeah, definitely somebody has passed away,
sure.
Or somebody's, especially in the last couple of years, downsizing a business. For those of you that are front-facing with customers, how many of you have dealt with small business people who are downsizing a business and it was really painful for them? Anyone? Yes, yes, yes.
Well, you talk about what happened during COVID. I mean, everybody said everybody's businesses grew. Why? A lot of these places had nowhere to go. We've been speaking with people that had to move their whole wedding planning business into our self-storage because wedding planning is gone. There's nobody getting married anymore during COVID, or at least having big weddings. And so we had to have all these folks, event businesses, people that had giveaways, charities, how many charities that we took on board during that time, because their charity making, how they're making those funds during those events, it disappeared overnight, and we were there to fill those holes. As a matter of fact, that's one of the biggest contributors that we do for our CSR, is we proactively engage a lot of charities that could have needed our help during that time, and our strength is space, and so we gave them free space. And we continue to give them free space as part of our community initiatives. Yeah. Because during that time, during COVID, and again, everybody knows this, our business grew because people needed it. And that's another moral case for our business.
Yeah, I mean, in Hong Kong, a lot of it was because we had restrictions, so you had to minimize, you had to reduce the density of your seating in the restaurant. You could only have 50% of the capacity in your restaurant. In Hong Kong, real estate's expensive. Normally, you're like, they pack the tables really closely together, and the government was like, no, you have to get rid of half your furniture.
Tables and chairs, as opposed to any restaurants putting them one over top of the other, they just put it in storage. And they knew it was temporary. But these folks didn't know about storage, because storage, as we all know, it's a problem of education, especially in Asia. And so they said, oh, do I have to sign a 2-year lease? No, we're month by month. Oh, can we get out anytime? Yeah, you can get out anytime. Yeah. Right? And so we were there to help people in their times of need. Yeah.
Do you think that situation or that message gets across enough in terms of how we talk to the public as an industry?
I would still say there's a lot of people that don't know much about storage and the opportunities to improve their lives with storage, but it's getting around. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, right now, I mean, property prices and rental prices and everything else are going up all over Asia, right? Yeah. I just read an article. I got a lot of people, can I say pissed off, angry about this.
Yes, that is not one of the 7 words you can't say at the self-storage conference.
Well, raising rents by 70%, 100% in Singapore. And anybody that wanted to try to improve their lives, to maybe they're welcoming a new baby into their family or any of these other things. Maybe they want to get into a new hobby and they thought, okay, well, we're going to just increase the amount of size that we have. We'll move to a nice apartment. Well, now that rents have gone up 70 to 100%, they're not doing that. They're figuring out how to do that in the space that they live, right? And how do they do that? Well, they gotta declutter, right? They have to make do with what they got. Just because they're not going to just get rid of their space that they have, the address that they've loved near the schools that their kids go to. Now, because of the 70% rise, they might have to just try to swallow that 70% and figure it out. They could try to move, okay, well, we live in the east, okay, we move up to Yishun or move up to Woodlands. Well, that's not going to help with their kids' school or anything. They got to make do with what they got. Sure. And that's the moral case for self-storage. Mm-hmm. We're helping families live and love their environment, where they live, near where their parents live, where their kids go to school. Yeah. We're helping with that.
Because otherwise they couldn't do it, and that would cause them stress, their lives. So we talked about the 5 Ds. You had one on your list that I didn't have, so it went from 4 Ds to 5 Ds, density. People maybe don't appreciate that density is a source of stress. I mean, I live in Hong Kong, and constantly people are talking, half the population lives in public housing. And a common complaint, of course, is that public housing is really small. Families of 4 are typically in a flat of 400 to 450 square feet. Density impacts on your mental stress.
There's pressure. I mean, it's funny. We are incentivized to keep on spending more, right? Yeah. The governments will give handouts sometimes. Oh, spend more. Sure. It's good for the economy. Go shopping, do these things, get into more hobbies and businesses. Do it now, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you do it now, and where do you put the stuff? You just put the stuff at home. You put your new hobby in your house, and you put your snowboard and your winter gear, and come to Japan, come to Hokkaido and ski, and buy all this stuff and do all these things. Where are we putting this stuff? We can't bury it in our homes anymore. It's the density of spaces that we're in. It's those the small spaces that we live in that increasingly cost more and more and more, especially in Asia. Where are we sticking this stuff? There's another moral case for self-storage. Yeah. Why we exist. And we talk about that mental stress. 2 years ago, we did a survey with folks on the street in Singapore, and 66% of respondents said that this lack of space causes them stress.
Yeah.
So the top 4, so behind family, health, and job, it was lack of space that were the things that caused them the most stress in their lives. There's another moral case for self-storage. And we have to own up to it. We understand it. Others need to try to help to wrap their mind around what self-storage does for the community. When warehouses were closed during COVID, because they need an operator in the warehouse and other things, self-storage was deemed essential by the government, because people still needed to access their storage. The contractors had all their stuff in there, electricians, plumbers, other things when they break down, it's in storage. There's another moral case for self-storage.
Yeah, I mean, but that moral case, I think we're facing a situation in the industry where, you mentioned governments, they don't necessarily understand that. You know, they think I know this is more acute in places like the United States, Canada, Vancouver, where I'm from, in certain areas, city councils have said, no self-storage. We will not have it. We don't have that problem in Asia yet. In some jurisdictions, we have restrictive regulations hampering it, because they look at it and they say, oh, it's not employing people who are paying taxes into our tax base. They don't seem to understand this case. And part of the reason we're having this discussion is so that you are better equipped, or maybe we can give you some ideas to go back and communicate that to your local policymakers or policy influencers.
And that's exactly why we have gentlemen like you, my friend, and associations like this. And this is why membership in associations like this is good. So we can have those healthy conversations with the regulators, governments, and others that in Asia, self-storage is an unknown, right?
In many places, yeah.
What's that?
Better known in some, but yeah.
But better known than some, certainly. But otherwise, you know, what can we do with this big box that hires so few people and has so little technology? Right? There may be a complaint from some governments, and they might say, well, you know, it's just taking up space. We could put some high-tech center there, some kindergartens, or whatever that's going to look like, or some more commercial space, or some retail space, and otherwise. But what that storage is doing for the community and helping make that community more resilient, healthier in the mind, helping small businesses store their inventory, have access 24/7, 365. That's the moral case for self-storage. And that's what I believe, well, people need to wrap their head around, of course, as an education for self-storage, but governments desperately need to wrap their head around. And morality, we're not pious. We're not sanctimonious here.
Rarely pious.
We are a for-profit business. But the demand for this business is there for a reason, and this is why these regulators and otherwise, we ask them to wrap their head around this, because the demand is crazy. Now, everybody said their occupancy went up. We're 95% across the board, and that happened all during COVID. These were people that needed space to school their kids from home, needed space to work from home. These were people that realized what self-storage can do for their small businesses, storing all their inventory instead of a warehouse where you needed somebody to take it down from the top floor or anything, right? And this is the reason why self-storage persists. It grows in good times and bad. Yeah. There's a moral case for self-storage.
So switching gears a little bit, there's the why, which I think we've kind of nailed. The how of it. Kind of in our modern era, the institutionalization of morality comes through concepts like ESG, right? Environmental, social, and governance issues. We heard, so starting with the environmental, we heard earlier from Wadi how his solar panel arrays can supply up to 100% of their energy when they're running at full bore. I know some of the site tours yesterday, we saw solar panels, but I mean, how do we get the message across about the how we are conducting our business on the environmental, social, government front?
Well, okay, if you want to just dig into those. I mean, how, okay, so we talked about how we're helping the community as a whole. We did talk about that in terms of small businesses, in terms of families and others. Now, in terms of ESG, I believe every business has a responsibility, and I'll put the exclamation on that, to be a part and help the community that we're in, and not take. We have a responsibility to be a part of that community, to help that community. And so every business can do this. Every business can do something for the environment within their four walls, right? We do the solar panels, we have the green roof. You may have seen that at the cocktail last night. We have our recycling, right? We have our electric charging vehicles at our sites. We're doing all that for within our company. That's something we committed to. One of the other big things that we committed to is that community partners, those community partnerships, and I've already spoken about that. It's about helping the community and those in need. Our strength is space. We have space. We can proactively reach out to the community, to those charities, to those nonprofits, and say, how can we help you help your constituents? And so, as a company, that was one of the first things that I did. We jumped in to the CSR space and said, well, CSR is greenwashed in a lot of ways. Here's some token money, right?
Sure.
And that is what it is. But we, as a community, as self-storage, we can genuinely help the people in need with space at any time because we have space. And now there's a lot of people in need of that. And so you go for those charities, you go for those nonprofits to help their constituents.
I'll give you an example. One of our members in Hong Kong, very small outfit, they just, they have half a floor in an industrial building, just expanded to a second half floor called Mr. Storage. And they have a thing where people, it's in a residential area, and if people are clearing out their self-storage lockers and they want to get rid of stuff, they don't have to send it straight to landfill. They have a little give and take thing outside the secure access area, right, in the lobby. So people, if they don't want something anymore, books, old clothes, things like that, they can just put it there. And people in the community come by and take stuff, right, to recycle it, bring it back in the economy. So A, it doesn't go to landfill, and B, it helps out people in the community. And people know who they are, and they come by once in a while. It's got a real community feel. It's not big, it's not flashy. They don't, it's a now two-site operation, so they don't have a big PR department to promote it, but it's a way they can be part of a community, really low investment requirement.
Absolutely. Well, so there's 3 other Ds that I invented when I started, and I've spoken about this in the media a couple times, whenever they want to come around and ask a couple questions. The three Ds. Oh, so first of all, I've never wanted to encourage people storing their junk. I talk about it, again, in the media and otherwise. I talk about 3 other Ds. I talk about dispose, donate, and declutter. Dispose of the stuff that's just broken and, it needs to go in the garbage because you haven't looked through your closet in a long while. But donate to those charities that need your help for the constituents that they're helping. And declutter the stuff that you love, that you're going to keep in your house, you're going to keep for your kids, you're going to keep for your memories. We don't encourage people to store their junk, and we publicly said that. Dispose, donate, declutter, give back to the community, and keep the stuff you love.
All right. Yeah. All right, good. Well, those are just some ideas, and again, I thought it was maybe valuable to be able to have this discussion today, maybe give you guys some ideas about things you can do or just how you think about your business and how you can explain it to other people in your lives, whether it's your family, your friends, people outside the industry, local governments, to let them know what we are up to and why self-storage matters. Thank you very much. Luigi La Tona, CEO, StorHub Singapore.
Thanks, guys.